Okay, wait. So I've made you host again, and I've made Lester co-host, and you are live and good to go.
All right, great. Thanks. See you later.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well this fine morning. Okay, hi, Pat. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Hey, welcome. Hi, Sandra. Good to see you.
Hello.
See Diana. Good morning.
Hi.
And Janice.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Oh, good. Welcome, Claudia. Welcome to you as well.
Good morning.
Picking up some echo somewhere, but I'll mute everybody when we start the class and we'll take care of that. But I'll leave everyone mics open while we're getting started here, welcoming everybody. Hi, Marilyn. Good to see you there. And just go ahead and unmute Marilyn just to make sure that that's working.
Yes.
Okay, yep, I can hear you. I want to make sure I can hear everybody. So when you do have questions during the class, I know I'll be able to hear you. Joyce, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. So glad to have everybody up early in the morning today. Good way to start the day is with the class. Hi, Renee. Let's see.
What time is it in the States now, or where you are?
I'm in North Carolina, so it's 10 o'clock. So it's not quite as early for me as it is for some of you.
Oh, I'm in Europe. It's 4 o'clock here.
Oh, where are you?
Italy.
Italy. Okay, great. Welcome. Well, thank you for coming from there. You get the long distance award today.
Yeah.
I do want to say that I had both of my shots and I got the COVID after my 2 shots. So
Oh, my goodness.
What?
and I wore my mask and I don't hardly go anywhere. I don't have any company. And I don't know why, but I had to get a test I didn't even know I was sick. I thought I had sinus because of allergies, but it ended up that they were because of I had to go into the hospital for a test for something else, and they had to test me for COVID first, and then they told me I went on Easter. They told me I was COVID positive. And
After two vaccinations?
yeah, just don't be scared. Try it, do it, because the doctor said that's why you're not as sick at all. You would have been in, you would have, because I have everything. I mean, I have liver, kidney, all these problems.
Well, that's why. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, I think that's part of what the vaccination does. It's if you get it, it's much lighter. Your risk of getting it at all is much less. But if you do happen to get it, you're not going to be in the hospital on a ventilator.
What I'm trying to make sure is everybody waits the whole 2 weeks too, after your shot, because they're advertising. I'm in Michigan, and Michigan's like spreading like crazy, and they're shutting things back down and everything. But they say get your shots on commercials, but they don't say make sure you go the 2 weeks after your shots. But I did, but I still got. So that's what I wanted to make sure everybody knew.
Yeah, the motto I've heard is.
Well,
Did you get Pfizer or BioNTech?
Moderna.
Oh, Moderna.
so you had preconditioned. You had preconditions. Okay.
I have a lot of them. I have a lot of preconditions. And I have diabetes. That started everything.
Yeah, I think that's.
And I'm obese, or kind of obese. That's supposed to be the major thing that causes you to have problems. Anyway, Sorry, I changed the class. I want to learn about this. Sorry, I'll mute.
Okay, all right. Well,
That's-
it's good information. It does happen. It's like what 85-90% effective. So there is that 10% that might get it, but as you said, if you get it, it's not going to be as bad. So you still need to get your shots. Yeah, but you do have to be on guard. And I know the motto I've heard is 2 shots in 2 weeks. It's kind of what you're saying as well. You got to wait 2 weeks after your second shot before you're at full immunity.
Well, I waited a month. Well, I got mine in January. So I just think that, I have had no problems. I mean, I have high blood pressure, but
Most of the people don't have problems. I'm just sorry.
Yeah.
I just thought, I just wanted to, one thing I noticed is it does scare people to be more careful after they get their shots.
Okay, so
That's
we're going
all.
to go on. Let me welcome the rest of the people and we'll get started. But yeah, thank you for sharing. That was interesting. Hey, Cindy, welcome. Let's see, who else do I not have? Charlene?
Good morning.
Good morning. And see, I've got Claudia already. Sandy?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everyone.
Coming in. Who have I not cut? Anna. Okay. Laverne looks like it's coming in. So we usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes to give people a chance to log in and get their technology working. I think I've heard from everybody. Is anyone that I haven't said your name and you've replied? I think
Me.
Laverne. Oh, Carol? Okay.
Yes, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Okay, yeah, I don't have you down. Oh, yeah, I do have you down. Okay, well, good. Thanks. Thanks for speaking up. Again, just want to make sure I can hear everyone's voice to make sure that as you have questions, I can hear you. So let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to cover today. So I've got a couple of housekeeping things to take care of first, and that'll give some other people a chance to come in as well. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I need to move your pictures around so that I can see you on my other monitor over here. And wow, a nice big group this morning. Thank you so much. And thank all of you for sharing your images early in the morning. If anybody else wants to share their images, down in the bottom beside the mute and unmute, start video, but that's not required, not mandatory. Okay, I'm going to be muting everybody. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And several times during the course of the class, I'll probably have to mute because things happen. Dogs come in, spouses come in, we pick up echoes. So anytime I hear background noise, I'll just mute everyone. Point there being, if you have a question or when you have a question or a comment, just be sure to check and see if you're muted. If you are, unmute yourself and then ask your question. Don't need to raise your hand or anything, just ask away. And I have opened the chat as well. And we do have Lester from our TA team here is going to help me monitor the chat. So if you are having trouble with your microphone, and you can reach us in the chat as well. But if your mic is working, please just go ahead and ask your questions out loud. That way everyone can hear your question and I'll hear your question as well on a timely basis and get back to you. Let me see, got one other thing I need to do here, and that's about as organized as I get. So let's go ahead and start the class. This is Mastering Google Calendar. Thank you all for attending. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I'll be the guide for your class this morning. Very briefly a little about me. I'm from a small town called Mason, Tennessee. I grew up in Tennessee. I've moved around a lot since then. I went to Mississippi, to West Virginia, to Pennsylvania, to Texas, and now I've been in North Carolina for a little over 20 years. It feels like home now. What I like about teaching at Get Set Up is that I'm teaching people that are here because they want to learn the topic. A lot of my career, I was teaching people that were in my class because their employer made them come to the class. So it's nice to be around people that are interested in learning. And that's really what Get Set Up is all about, is creating an environment where you can come and learn topics you're interested in, along with other people that are interested in the same topic. and interact with each other as well as interacting with the guide. So it is a communal experience, and we want to thank you for being part of that. The session is being recorded, and if you want to get a copy of that recording, you just need to email help@getsetup.io. I'm going to put that in the chat. In case you don't have it, you can copy it out of here. There it is. Okay, make sure I spelled it right. At the closing of the class, I'll talk about some other ways where you may want to use that email, so it comes in very helpful. We are live streaming the class this morning, so I do want to also welcome anyone that is joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining us and hope you enjoy the class. But do want to recommend signing up for the classes. Go ahead and register for the class on our website. That way you can interact with the other learners and ask questions of the guide teaching the class. Get the full Get Set Up experience. And finally, we aren't paid to promote any of the products or vendors that we train on. We are purely trainers. Let's talk about the agenda for today. A lot to cover. We're going to talk about how you can add and manage multiple calendars. I think that's one of the strong features of Google Calendar. How to add events to your calendar, invite guests, and then set notifications so you don't forget about that event. And then we'll add reminders and tasks to our calendar as well. So in terms of accessing Google Calendar, in order to access Google Calendar, you have to have a Google account. Google account is free. You can just go to www.google.com and create an account if you don't have one already. There are two versions of Google Calendar, and this is true of all the Google apps. There's a browser version. That's what I'm using now and what we'll be using for the class. So it just runs in any of the browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Edge. Just open a new tab and get to your calendar. There is also an app version that you can download to your smartphone or your tablet. It does a lot of the same things, but navigation is different and the screens are somewhat different. So it's going to be hard to follow along if you're on the app. So it'll probably be easier just to watch my screen if you can't get to a tablet or a computer that has a browser that you can get to it via the browser. Right. So, oops. All right. So let's go ahead and get to, what I'll do. So when you come to Google, www.google.com, if you don't have an account, this is where you can sign up. If you have an account, but you're not signed in, there'll be a sign in option here. Once you're signed in, then you'll have your picture will be up the upper right, and there'll be this icon here. Sometimes it's called the 9 dot icon. Sometimes it's called the waffle. Looks a bit like a round waffle. This, if you click this, it shows you all the Google apps that you get with your free Google account, and there's lots of them here. We do have a class that's called Introduction to Google Apps, and in that class, we talk about all these different apps briefly. About what they are, but you can go in here and click. So to get to calendar, you would just click calendar. I already have calendar up, so I'm not going to click it here, but that's how you can get to calendar. And also from any other app that you have up. So if you happen to be in Gmail, you can do the same thing, same app, click calendar, bring up calendar. So that same icon is on all the different Google browser tabs. But we're going to go straight to calendar. So this is Google Calendar. I'm going to go over navigating the screen a little bit just to kind of orient everybody if you are new to Google Calendar. And if you have questions or comments, please just unmute and ask your questions as I'm going through this. Over in the far upper left, there's a main menu icon. And if you hover over any icon, put your cursor over it, it will tell you what that icon is. What this one does is it hides and reopens that left-hand panel. Most people leave it open most of the time, but sometimes you bump it by mistake and you're all of a sudden you wonder where your panel went. Just come back up here, click it again, and that brings it back. These little icons here, and again, hover over and it tells you what they're going to do. This takes you out to a week at a time. So if I want to see something on my calendar in June, I can just click out until I get to June and look at what's going on June 1st. I clicked all the way out there. I can click all the way back, but I can click today, and that will take me back to the week that has today in it.
Question.
Yes.
I'm on the same screen. I'm using a Galaxy S7. I have the calendar, the 3 lines, but I don't have the today. And what I've been doing is I have to move like day by day to the next month.
Yeah, so you're on the app. And like I said, the app is going to look very different than the browser. So you're not going to see the same things. If you have a laptop there that you can, or a computer, that you can bring up a browser, you can kind of see what you can see the same thing. If not, it's probably best to just watch my screen and see how it all works. But it does look and work differently on the app than it does on the browser.
I can see your screen on my computer, but I don't have another computer to do it on. So
yeah, so you may just want to watch my screen, and then you can get the recording, and then you can watch the recording on your phone if you want to while you're trying it again on your screen. If you.
Thank you very much. Wait.
Sure. Okay. Over here is where you can control the number of days you're seeing on your calendar. I've set mine for week. Week works best for the browser version. As Sylvia was saying, the app defaults to 3 days because you don't have enough room to see 7 days. But you can change it to a day. You can change it to a month where you can see the entire month. You can even go out and set it to a year. Different options here. I think on a browser, on a laptop or a PC, a week is the best choice, but it gives you several options there. Over on the far right-hand side, there's some icons. One that we'll look at later is tasks. So if I click this, it opens up my tasks. So we'll take a look at that later. If you don't see this side panel, there's an icon down here at the bottom that says hide side panel or show side panel. It just toggles that side panel on and off. So if you're using these other apps, you'd want it open. If you don't use them, you may just want to close it, get it out of the way. It's your choice. And then over here, back to the left-hand side, there's the create button. I'll show you how to use that later, but this is where I can create an event, a reminder, or a task. And my another calendar, this is the monthly calendar. So this comes in handy. It shows you the entire month, and usually it shows you part of the prior month and part of the next month. You can navigate through this calendar as well. So if I wanted to go out to May 4th, instead of having to click out up here, I can just click May 4th here, and it takes me to that date. And I can also go back and forth here through the months. If I want to come back to today, I can click here or I can click here. Both do the same thing. Google does that a lot. It gives you different ways to sort of do the same thing. You can pick whichever one you like to do. Using these controls or these controls really do the same thing. All right, any questions about anything there? I covered a lot of territory. Everybody with me okay?
Can I ask quickly that I have all Apple products, and I have right now I'm on an iPad, and I downloaded it, but I'm wondering if my son was saying that I should have it on my Apple product, Apple calendar. Don't they just automatically go to Google to Apple? I don't know. Do you?
Yeah, well, Apple has a calendar, Google has a calendar, Microsoft has a calendar, so they all have calendars. They all do roughly the same thing. There's some pros and cons of each one, so really you can pick which one you like the best. Calendars are one thing. It's probably better to pick one and stick with it. But yeah, if the icon I'm using, I have an iPhone, but in fact, let me just, while we're talking, I'm gonna just emphasize the fact that it is different on the phone. Here's my iPhone. but I have Google Calendar on my iPhone. So again, you can download it. There's also the Apple Calendar, which is a different calendar.
Do they sync together? Like if you do one,
We'll talk
because
about
my-
that in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
They don't automatically, but I'll
Oh,
just
good.
touch this to kind of show you what I was talking about. So here it is on
Sorry,
the
I have a question.
phone.
I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
So your icon for the Google Calendar has a 31. My icon says Friday 9. Is that an app or is that for the Google Calendar?
I think you've got something else. Yes, the Google Calendar will have the 31 on here with those
Oh.
colored bars around it. And it'll say Google Calendar right below it.
Oh, I see. So I have something different.
Yep, you've got a different one. So you
It
need to
was
go
on my
download that.
iPad already and on my iPhone.
Yeah, if it doesn't come on there, you'll have to download it from the App
Oh,
Store.
okay, thank you.
Yep, the Apple Calendar comes with the phone, but if you want the Google one, you'll have to download
Oh,
it.
so that's the Apple Calendar that I have.
It may be. It
Oh,
may
okay, thank you.
be. Let me just look at that real quick, and then we're going to move back off of this, but I don't. Yep. So that's
yeah,
the Google Calendar.
exactly, yes.
Yep.
So that's the Apple Calendar.
Yep, that's the Apple Calendar.
Okay.
So again, you can have multiple calendars on there, and you can.
All righty, thank you.
Right. But that's kind of any other questions before I move? Because that was a good segue to the next point. Because let me talk about the calendars that come with your Google account. So you can have more than one Google account. I've got 2 different Google accounts. I've got my this is my work account and this is my personal account. Each Google account has its own Gmail and it has its own calendar. And with the calendar, it usually comes, you should see 4 different calendars that are part of your personal calendar. It says My Calendars. So you get the calendar itself. You get birthdays. And what birthdays are, let me go back to March 9th, which is my brother's birthday. If you use Google Contacts, and again, Google encourages you to use all their stuff. They make it easy to use all their stuff. So if you use Google Contacts and you put the person's birthday in their Google Contact, then they show up automatically on your calendar when it's their birthday. The little cake here with 1 candle on it, tells me that this is a birthday and whose birthday it is. So, so that's the birthday calendar. All these calendars over here, if you click on the check mark, it turns them on and off. So if I don't want to see the birthdays on here, that birthday disappeared. When I check it again, it comes back. So you can turn all these on and off whenever you want to. You can also have reminders. I'm going to talk about reminders later, but reminders are things that you do yourself. Here's a reminder for me to water the ferns on Saturday. It's up at the top of the calendar, which means it's an all-day event. And I do it that way because I need to water the ferns sometime Saturday. I don't have to do it at exactly 9 o'clock in the morning or exactly 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just need to do it sometime on Saturday. So that's a reminder. And all these things are color-coded as well. So the reminders are purple. The tasks are, the events are blue. And you have tasks. And here's a task. Replace the kitchen light. Again, we'll talk about reminders and tasks at the end of class, but just to kind of show you these things. And again, if I don't want to see them all the time, I can turn them off and then come back and turn them on if I want to see them. I usually leave those on all the time, but Google gives you the option. And while I'm here, you can also, I said everything is color coded, but if I want a different color, maybe I don't like that color for task, I can just click this icon here and it brings up the different colors. And maybe I want to use this color instead, orange. So now it's changed the color. Picking up a little echo here, so I'm going to mute everybody quickly. All right. Now you can also bring in other calendars into your personal calendar. And so some of these are calendars. This is one that is another work-related calendar. So get set up, puts that calendar out here where I can get to it. There's a holidays in the United States calendar. Oh, right here, Easter Sunday. So that comes from here. Again, you can tell because of the color coding, or I can turn it off and it goes away. I've got phases of the moon. Last quarter is at 6:02 was on the 4th, if you're interested in phases of the moon. And you can bring in other calendars. So I have a personal calendar and a work calendar, but I can bring in my personal calendar and show it on my work calendar. Anything in this red is from my personal calendar. These two events are on my personal calendar. Again, if I don't want to always see those, I can turn them off and then turn them on when I want them. I can turn off my work calendar, which is most of my calendar, and turn it back on. I'm going to show you how to add other calendars, but just everybody kind of understand that concept. If you want to add another calendar, when you first come in, holidays is probably there. I think Google turns that one on by default, but the others, you're not going to have any others here. But the little plus here is how you add another calendar. And there's several different ways to do this. If you want to bring in someone else's Google Calendar, you just subscribe to that calendar. Google makes it easy to bring in another Google Calendar. It suggests some of them here. If that's not the person you want, you can just put in their email here. I'm going to put my wife's Gmail. And when I hit enter, it says you don't have access to that calendar. So I want to show you that to let you know that just anyone can't go and bring in your calendar. If you haven't already given them access, they have to request access. So you can put a message here as to why you want to see that person. So maybe like this is my wife's calendar. If you want to have other family members' calendars so you can coordinate events, you may want to bring in their calendars. You just need to send a message or talk to them beforehand. Say, hey, I'm going to send you a request to see your calendar. Go ahead and grant that when I do it and click request access. It's still up to that person to grant access or not. If they grant access, then that will now be down here as one of your other calendars. That's how Wade Personal ended up on my calendar. Oh, and by the way, you can change that name. Because I wanted it to say Wade Get Set Up and Wade Personal. If you click on the triple dot again and go into settings, then you can change the name of that calendar. It defaults, I think, to your Gmail address, but you can change it to be anything you want. That's the easy one. You could also bring in, if you have a Google Calendar and a Gmail calendar, a Google Calendar and an Apple Calendar, you can bring the Apple Calendar in. If you have a Yahoo Calendar, so you can bring in pretty much any of the other calendars. That's a little more complicated in the email that comes out after class. I've got step-by-step instructions how to do that for Microsoft, Yahoo, and Apple. Because what you have to do is you have to get a URL from that other vendor. And once you get that URL for Yahoo or Apple, you come here from URL and you put that URL in here. That will put it on your calendar. So again, that one's a little more complicated, but just so you know, you can do that. I'm going to click again here. You can create a new calendar yourself. And so for instance, maybe I do work with the Habitat for Humanity and I want to have a separate calendar so it's not mixed in with my personal calendar. So I could just say, create a new calendar and give it a name and create that calendar. And now when I go back, I've now got Habitat up here under my calendars. It's up here because this is my calendar. I created it as opposed to someone else's calendar that I brought in to my list of calendars. So when I schedule something, if I'm scheduling an event, it's going to default to my personal one, but I can click here and click the down arrow and say, put this on my Habitat calendar instead of on my work calendar. And we'll talk more about how you add things to your calendar in a minute. But now I've got this Habitat meeting, and it is color coordinated. It's this color instead of the blue color. Yeah, somebody had a question?
Yes, wait, it would be impossible. Like if I want to create a new calendar for all my get set classes, all the ones that I have a schedule for the future, you would have, is there any way to import those into the new calendar? Or you have to get to each one and move it directly to the get set calendar?
Yeah, I don't think I don't know of any way to do that. If you add something to your calendar, it's, this is your
It's going
calendar.
to default. Okay.
It's going to default to that
Default.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
these you have to kind of do manually. So it works well if you want to separate your
Right.
volunteer work from your personal stuff. You could set up a separate calendar for all your
Okay.
volunteer activities around Habitat, and which gives them the main thing it does for you, it gives you a different color here.
Thank you.
Wade, I have a question. If you realized you put Habitat meeting on the wrong place and you wanted to delete that, how do you do that?
You can delete it by clicking here.
Oh, okay.
Or if you didn't want it to be in Habitat, you want it to just be on your regular calendar, you can come back here and change it back to your regular calendar.
Okay.
And save it, and now it's back blue, which meaning it's back on my regular calendar instead of on my Habitat calendar.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if I want to just delete this, I just click on it and hit the delete event, and it's gone.
Okay.
A question about this, or I use the change, the pencil mark and change. My question is, when that goes into edit. When I do edit, sometimes I can change the color, and sometimes it just won't. And I'm wondering what I haven't gotten the answer to that, because sometimes I would like to change it to another color.
You can't do that under the pencil. So let's say I want to change this to another color. I can just right click on it, and then I can change the color.
Oh, how's it again? Right click on it?
Yes. So if I'm going to change this to be a different color, I just hover over the event, right click it, and then I can change it to be green instead.
Okay, I'm at the point where I have the pencil mark, and I hear introduction to photo. So right click.
We're going to hang on a minute. We're going to talk about the pencil in a minute. You're getting a little ahead of me. We're going to get there. If I don't cover it when we get there, ask me again.
Yeah, it's the color. I've been using it for years, but that color is not one thing I could never change.
Yep, you change it on the browser. You change it by right clicking it. I don't know how you do it if you're on the phone. I don't know how to do it on the phone, but in the browser you right click. Again, it's different on the app probably.
Thank you.
All right, so let's go. So we've talked about any questions about the calendar itself, adding calendars, navigating calendar.
Just a quick question. Thank you so much. Sorry, I came a little late. This is Judy.
No problem. Judy.
So I have only Apple devices. And so is there, I mean, I really trust you, Wade. I mean, you're my guru about technology. First of all, do you feel that the Google Calendar is much, much easier to navigate than the Apple Calendar, or there's some really better features of it?
I can't give a good answer there because I've never used Apple Calendar, so I don't have. I've used Microsoft Outlook, and I've used Yahoo, and I've used Google, and there's a huge amount of overlap. If I was starting from scratch, I would pick Google. I think it's the best of the ones, but that's just kind of my personal opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think there's a huge difference.
I've used the Apple. I've used the Apple and the Google, and I have all Apple products. I prefer to use the Google Calendar.
Really? Okay. And then that's what I wondered, since I only have Apple products, will they let me use the Google Calendar?
Yeah, and I think you weren't here, we covered that, but like, here's my Google Calendar on my iPhone. You just have to download the app.
Can you point to it? I'm not sure.
I'm pointing, can you see
I see it, yep.
right
I
there?
see.
You just go to the App Store and download the Google Calendar, or if you're on a Mac or a
Right.
iPad, just bring up the browser and you can use the browser version, which is the full featured version.
Okay, and so I would, so I wouldn't do the app, I would just Google Calendar.
Just
and it would
bring up
come
Safari and go to www.google.com and it'll bring up the full browser version.
Could you repeat repeat other calendars, how you do Google Calendar when you want to bring another calendar in?
You come down here to the plus, and click that. But before you do that, you've got to get a URL from that other calendar. And that's where I've got the, in the email that's coming out after class, I've got instructions for how to bring in an Apple calendar, how to bring in an Outlook calendar, how to bring in a Yahoo calendar. So it'll walk you through that process because it's different depending on what calendar you're coming from. It's why I can't go over that in class because I'd have to go over all the different calendars. But it's in the email that comes out after class.
Okay.
But
Wade, I have a question.
Sure.
If I get something in email, in Gmail, and I want to add it to my calendar, can I do it from there?
You can. If we have time at the end of class, I can show you how to do that. I want to get through some other things first. So if we have time, remind me, and I'll show you how to add something to your calendar from Gmail.
Yes, I would like to know that too, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to know the military time. I have mine on military time and I don't like it because I keep getting mixed up on what time it is.
If you come to your calendar and click on the triple dot and go into settings, then you can change your time. I think you would do it. Here. You can certainly, this is where you change your time zone. And I don't see an option to change it to.
Okay. Well, I don't want to waste your time, but I tried everything. I guess I'll download a different calendar. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, I'll put this back to Eastern time. It's in settings somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where the setting is. Okay, so let's talk about putting things on the calendar. We've talked about calendar. We haven't actually gotten into using the calendar yet, and I do want to save time for that. So, and this is pretty simple though. If you've done other calendars, it works very similarly. So let's say I want to set an event for 11 o'clock on Saturday. Easiest way to do it is just to click where you want it. The other option is to click the plus over here. I'll do this one later to show you both of them. It comes up with like an abbreviated list of things you can do. These are your kind of a shortcut to creating a meeting. I'm going to click more options because I want to go over all the different options. So you just give it a title. You can, it defaults to an hour, but you can change the time if you want to here. So maybe it's going to just be a 30-minute meeting. So it's only going to be from 11 to 11:30, or maybe it's going to be a 2-hour meeting. So you can change the meeting here. You can make it an all-day meeting. If it's something like a picnic or whatever, it's going to last all day. And you can make it repeating, daily, weekly, monthly. You can even make it a custom repeating event. So maybe it's going to happen Wednesdays and Saturdays, every other week, every 2 weeks. So there's a week off. So lots of flexibility in terms of setting up recurring meetings. I'm going to cancel that. Not too different from the other calendars though there. This is Google Meet. Google Meet is like Zoom. It's Google's version of Zoom. If you want to make it be a virtual meeting, you can click on this. It will create a link and send it to the recipients when you send out that event. If it's going to be a physical meeting, you just ignore this. Or if you don't want to use Google, you want to use Zoom instead, just ignore this. If it's a physical meeting, this is where you put the address. This links to Google Maps. So you start typing it in and it's looking on Google Maps for that address close to where you are. So all I had to type in was the number and it found the address. This is where it is. So I don't have to type the whole thing in. Plus on the invitation that goes out, there'll be a link on the invitation to Google Maps. So if the person coming doesn't know where this address is, they can bring up Google Maps and find it straight from that invitation. You can set notifications. Mine defaults to a notification 10 minutes before the meeting. You can add more notifications. I'm going to click add notification here, and I'm going to set an email notification for 1 day prior to the meeting. So I'll get an email the day before the meeting reminding me that I've got a meeting the next day. 10 minutes before the meeting starts, I'll get a notification. You define the notifications at the device level. So on my phone, it dings. On my computer, it'll pop up something in the corner over here, notifying me that I've got a meeting coming up in 10 minutes. Maybe I'm really worried about this meeting, so I want to add another one. Let's say I want to get another notification on my phone 30 minutes before the meeting, etc. You can add as many as you want. If you decide you don't want one of these, you can take it off. Lots of flexibility around notifications and emails. You can add a description, and you can attach a document. So if we're going to be meeting to review a document, I can go out and grab the document that we're going to be working on and put a description here. We need not too different from the other emails. And that's basically sets up the meeting. I then need to invite guests. So I can invite my wife, and she shows up here. I'm going to actually send it to my Yahoo account. There's another example here. So you just keep adding guests until you've got everybody you want listed here. Right. And when you're done, you just hit save. It says, do you want to send invitations? And I do. And I'm using a corporate version of Outlook of emails. So it's telling me some people don't have an @get set up email address. That's okay. So they're external to the company. And same thing here. With a personal account, you wouldn't get all of that. That's only if you got a business account. And so here's my meeting right there. Now there's several ways I can edit this meeting. This kind of gets back to, I think, what Sylvie was asking about. But if I want to edit this meeting, I can just click on the meeting and then click the pencil. And again, if you hover over the pencil, it says edit event. It brings me back into my screen. I can change anything that I wanted to. So maybe we decide to change it to be an hour-long meeting. So I can change it to end at noon instead of 11:30. Save it. First it says, do you want to send an updated invitation to the recipients? And I do. Add an optional message. Please always add that message. Tell people what's changed. I hate getting updates and I can't figure out what's changed. So just say changed to our, and send that out. And now all the recipients will get an update saying that the meeting had changed. And you can see now it is an hour-long meeting instead of a 30-minute meeting. Click back in.
Can you change the color?
Here.
Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't, and that's my problem.
Yep. So you should be able to change it here from if you're in the and you want to change it here. I can change it from here and save it, or I can right click and change it from here. So those are the two places you can change it.
In some
You're
edits,
gonna have a little background noise. Hang on, let me mute everybody. Okay. All right. Yep. Somebody else had a question?
Yes, Wade, are you going to show how to add birthdays to the calendar?
I can do that very quickly because what you have to do is you go out, that's in Google Contacts. So I said it pulls it from the contacts. So I would go to Google Contacts and just bring up someone's account, edit their account and add their birthday. right here. So you have to be using Google Contacts, and then it'll bring them in. Now you don't have to use that. I mean, if you can just create an event and on your calendar and put their birthday in there if you don't want to use the birthday. But if you're using Google Contacts and you're already putting birthdays in everybody's contact, it saves you having to do it twice. All right, let me show you. I'm trying to look at the time. There was something somebody asked, and I said I'd do it if we have time at the end. What was that one? Oh, from email. Let me show you that one really quickly, and then we've got one or two other things I'll show you as well. But since a couple of people were interested in this one, I can go to email, and let me pick an email. If I come up here and click on the triple dot in Gmail, it has an option to create an event. So if I click create an event, it takes me over to Google Calendar and adds this. So from here, it's just as if I was in Google Calendar. So it's, and what I usually do is add a word meeting here. The Outlook and Calendar is the name of the email. So it brought over the name from the email. And then from here, I would set up just like any other meeting. Only thing that's different now is it took the contents of that email and put it down here in the description field. So it has all the contents of that email here. So now I can set this to be on Saturday at 11 o'clock, save it.
Yeah, could you do that again?
Okay, and now here it is. I've double booked, but there's that event on my calendar on Saturday. Yep. So let me just go back to email.
Mm-hmm.
So just open the email, click on the triple dot, and click create event.
Event. Okay.
And when you do that, it creates an event over in your calendar. From there, it's just like any other event in your calendar, but it brings this content out of the email and puts it in that description in the event in your calendar.
Wade, if you wanted only part of the email text in your description, would the best way to do it then just cut and paste that into an event that you create in the calendar?
I would just edit it and then come down here and I could delete it.
Okay, thank you.
Delete what I don't want in there and save it. And now I've updated it and taken out what I didn't want in there. If I wanted to add to it, I can add more in there.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I got an email. How do I explain that? That looked like for a meeting, and that looked like a calendar thing of the person that was sending me the invitation. And I had the options of either to click yes, no, maybe. And then I clicked on yes, and then it said it is added to my calendar, but I don't have one. So where did it go?
It probably, if it was, it's controlled by the calendar that sent it to you. Right? So if it was a Gmail invitation, it would put it on your Gmail calendar. If it was a Yahoo invitation, it would put it on your Yahoo.
But I don't have a Gmail calendar, so it just went somewhere in cyberspace.
Do you have a Google account?
I do.
Then you have a Google Calendar.
Oh, I don't know.
I have never opened it, but that's
where I have the Apple Calendar, so I don't.
Yeah, so it's so if you go again, if you click here and go to Calendar, I bet it's on there.
Okay, and then it gets automatically added to the other person's calendar, I guess. That sent me that invitation.
The person that sent it, yeah. And then you can see here, so like you said, if you said yes, I'm coming, it would say yes right here. If you said no, it would say no. So the person that created the event can tell who's accepted and who's rejected the invitation.
So
by
it's
going
more
back
for
into
him,
here.
more for the sender.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so they'll know, or if you haven't responded, then they'll know
Yes.
Michelle's
Okay.
never responded, yes or no, so I can call
Yes.
her and say,
Okay.
hey, Michelle, you coming or not?
All right, thank
Didn't
you.
respond. Yeah. Okay. All right, we got just a couple of minutes left, but the last couple of things here are fairly straightforward because they're like doing events, but they're shorter and easier, and those are reminders. So if I want to create a reminder, I'm going to use the create this time, and I could click on the time as well, but I'm going to say create. It always defaults to an event, but you can change that and ignore out of office and appointment slots. This is just for business versions of Google. For the personal version, you'll just have event, task, and reminder. But if I click reminder, reminders are much easier. There's not many options. I just put the reminder and I want to remember to take out the trash. And I'm going to do that on Sunday night on the 9th because they pick it up on Monday morning. I want to make it repeating because they pick it up every Monday morning. So weekly on Sunday. And then I can set a time. So if I want to take it out at a certain time, I'll put a time just to show you how that works at 5 o'clock and hit save. And let me go out to Sunday.
You did May 9th.
I did May 9th. Well,
Yes.
that's not good. Thank you. Somebody has sharp eyes. There it is. Okay. So I can click on that and edit it and change that back to, I want to be April 11th and save. But so there's the event at 5 o'clock. And I made it recurring, so it'll be on every Sunday thereafter. So very simple to create a reminder compared to creating an event. There's not as many options. If you made it all day, it would show up at the top like this one. So again, I don't necessarily have to take the trash out at that time. I could just put it up the top, which says sometime during the day, put it out there. In my community, you're not supposed to put it out until 5 o'clock. So I put it at 5 o'clock to remind me there, whichever way you'd rather do it. And the last thing is we looked at was tasks. For example, I have a task here, replace the kitchen lights. Task and reminders are very similar. Both the difference between task and reminders and events typically involve other people. And you're inviting other people to this event, whereas these are just things you're going to do yourself. Nobody else is involved. You notice there's no place to invite anyone. Let me create a reminder. And let's say I want to have a reminder to take the car to the shop at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Again, I want to make this be a task instead of a... One of the reasons you might pick a task instead of a reminder is it gives you more options, more things you can add. So I can add a description here, which I can't do with the task, of why I'm taking it in. Change the oil, rotate tires, wiper blades.
Could I use it for a shopping list, for instance?
There's a better way to do shopping lists with Google. I mean, you could say, go to the hardware store and list the things you want to buy here. You could definitely. There's something called Google Keep that would be a better way to do a shopping list, but you could certainly do it. Google gives you multiple ways to do the same thing. And that's kind of what these are. You can also have multiple task lists. So this is not, this is a personal something. So I want it to be on my personal task list instead of my business task list. And I can hit save. And now here's take my car to the shop.
Would that only show on your personal calendar?
It would only, well, this one I put on my work calendar. it gets a little confusing. I got a personal task list as part of my work calendar.
Okay, perfect.
So a remind.
Go ahead.
Oh God, what did I do?
We can hear you. Go ahead,
I
Joyce.
lost the picture.
Okay.
Oh God.
Uh-oh. We can hear you if
Oh
you want
yeah.
to.
So the reminder. Oh yeah, I kind of lost you right there. The reminder is not a single event, or is it the task that's a single event?
It can be either.
Or
So
both of them a single, because I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
So I can make it, this one doesn't repeat, so it's a one-time event. If I want to make it, I need to water the ferns every Saturday morning. I can say weekly on Saturdays, or I can make it monthly on the second Saturday of the month, annually on the 10th every year. So you can make it repeat just like you can events. So this one probably I'd want to make it weekly. I got to water the ferns every week. And now that's also on my calendar for next Friday. If it's a one-time event, then you make it not repeating.
Okay.
All right.
I have a question, but I think Laverne has a question first, and then I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess she's not going to.
Do you have a question, Laverne? Go ahead, Charlene.
All right. How do you delete like extra calendars? Like on the left-hand side, like I have all these calendars from over the years that I want to now get off my calendar. How do I delete them under other calendars?
If I want to get rid of this habitat calendar that I created today, because that's not a real one, I just made it up for the class, I can just click the X right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to confirm, do you want to remove that calendar? And I can say, yep, remove it. And it's gone.
Okay, let me try it. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right. One last question. Somebody else had a hand up. Because we
You
are
wanted
almost.
to talk about the icons on the right-hand side?
The task is the only one we're going to talk about. And
Okay.
let me show you. I didn't show you that. So thank you. So the task is here on my calendar, but it's also over here under my task option over here. So I can click over here and let me go to my personal task because that's where I put that one. So here's take the car to the shop tomorrow. So I can see it here or from over there. I can edit it from either place. The advantage of coming over here is I can add things that aren't on my calendar. So I need to clean the garage sometime, but it's not in a particular day. It's just something I need to remember to do. So you can have things that aren't on your calendar by putting them over here. I can just click add a task here and put in cut the grass. I don't have to be done on a certain day. I just need to remember to do it. And so now that's on my list of tasks. Didn't mean to put that one on there. I'm gonna delete that. So that's the other thing about tasks. You can create a task that's not on your calendar, but it's over here in this little side menu, which is why it's got it over here to put something that's not on your calendar.
Okay. And what's that little yellow thing above it for?
That's Google Keep. And there's another class on that one. That's a whole class unto itself. And this is the one where I would put my shopping list, but that's a different class. If you're interested in that one, I'll show you how to get to the Google Keep class because that's where we're going next. We need to go to the closing. Running overtime here, but lots of great questions. But let me go ahead and go to the closing. So this is the end of the actual class, but there are some things I want to talk about in closing. There's several related classes. There's an introduction to Google Apps that I mentioned, which goes over all those different apps in that drop-down list and the waffle icon. There's a getting started with Gmail class if you want to learn about Gmail, and the Keep class is another related class. Let me go to the closing here, because I do want to make sure that especially anyone that hasn't been to a class before understands how this all works. So after class, you're going to get an email, and that email, it has several sections. There's some class notes, and a part of the notes are links to other websites. This is where the links will be to show you how to bring in your Apple Calendar or your Yahoo Calendar or your Outlook Calendar into Google Calendar. So be sure and check out those links. There'll be links in the email to 3 other classes. If you just click on that link, it'll take you straight to the registration page for that class. Makes it really easy to sign up for those classes. There's a link to give feedback. If you click that, it will bring up our feedback page. Again, very quick, 2 questions. How do you want to rate the class? 1 to 5 stars. How do you want to rate the guide? 1 to 5 stars. Done. Very easy. There's a link to view schedule, and that's going to take you out to our website where you can book another class. I want to show you just a couple of things here quickly because we are almost out of time, but I'll make sure you know you've found this link. So this is a link to your schedule. If you click that, it will take you to your schedule where you can see everything you've already booked, and also click here to join a class if it's time to join a class. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you are looking for a particular class, the best way to find it is just to use a keyword. So we were talking about that Google Keep class. I just type Keep here, and here's Google Keep task reminders. If I click that, it will take you to the page for that class. You can kind of read about it and make sure that's the class you want to take. If you do, you can click right here to book the class. It's going to be April 16th at 1 Eastern time and book that class. If you know some friends that you think would like to take that class as well, and maybe you want to take it all at the same time, you can tell them about the class by just clicking here, and you can send them a link to the class through Facebook, through WhatsApp, or just send them an email. That makes it really easy for them to join the class. They don't have to come and navigate through and find it. You could do the same thing for a class you've just taken. If you want to share it with somebody, put the name of that class here. It'll take you to, for instance, so you want to tell somebody about the Google Calendar class. You can just start typing calendar, go to the class we just took, and then tell a friend about it. And say, hey, I just took this class. I think you'd like it. Here's a link to it. The last thing I'm going to show you is that several people have asked about is if you click on About the Guide and you want to see other classes that guide teaches, in this case, this is my class. If you want to see other classes I teach, click here. It'll show you all the classes that guide is teaching in the next 2 weeks. So you can go and register for any one of those classes you want to take. All right. So I did run over by 2 minutes, sorry, but I do want to thank you for attending the class. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and hope to see you again in another class really soon. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.